Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are joined by Rishabh Chaturvedi, Ayan Paul, and Shaurya Thapa from Bhindi Wire, a podcast in which the trio tries to explore the films in depth, discuss news, reviews, and other facets of cinema, and also offer great recommendations if you're looking for new content. The topic for our discussion is pseudo criticism and common tropes and cliches in mainstream cinema. I welcome the three of you to Cineville, and I appreciate you taking out the time to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to have this conversation and have a great time. भाई पॉडकास्ट में तो मजा आती है तो our real life podcast भी कर लेते हैं इसी बहाने. So my first question to you guys is first thing first, why do you guys call yourselves pseudo critics? What exactly does it mean, and why did the trio decide to put out this pseudo criticism online through a podcast?
Bro, I think like that's kind of like a joke only because we don't want to be identified as critics always because most of the critics that we know they are like at least like not all obviously but like they come off as very pretentious or like मुझे तेरे से ज़्यादा पता है and there's that attitude and at least if not I can't speak for the West always but like at least in our circles
Yeah,
I won't call them critics, but like cinephiles, so called in our circles, they act like they'll watch one Tarantino film, watch Christopher Nolan film, samajh mein aa gayi, so now
Right.
they'll act all cool, like I know more than you guys, and we don't want that elitism to happen. Like it's fine, whatever you like, it's your choice, bro. अगर तेरे को Interstellar नहीं पसंद आई, तेरी choice है. I can't shame you for that. And but we have been having people anything. It can be like someone who loves a Marvel film to someone who loves a Nolan film. So that's why we are trying to like destigmatize that. We are trying to have a simple conversation as we do in our podcast that bro मेरे को ये पसंद है, मेरे को वो पसंद है, and like three of us also have our disagreements at times, but that's the beauty. Like
Yeah.
we don't want that critic wala standing. And second thing, of course, none of us are certified critics, so like we are
Absolutely.
self-proclaimed
Yeah.
critics. So that's why we are pseudo critics.
So we
Yeah,
try
but
not
then
to take
again,
ourselves too seriously.
I think our everyone's understanding of what it takes to be a film critic is probably influenced by pre-existing critics and mostly of
Right.
the West. When you think of a film critic, automatically, I think only Western standards come to mind. Like, I'm pretty sure most of the film community in India would not be aware of many film critics or film reviewers in our country per se. And I don't think it like they take it as seriously as they do in the West. But at the same time, that what Thapa said, we wish to destigmatize that. At least it's an attempt from our side. And matlab, at the end of the day, I think we're just three guys who really, really love talking about film. And I think film appreciation and film criticism shouldn't be only sort of um, kept aside only for those who are professionals at the end of the day.
Yeah, basically, you might have watched like 250 international films, or you would have just watched two international films. That's fine, bro. We can still have a conversation.
Right.
ये
Right.
दिखावा नहीं चाहिए हमें that like I have watched all films of Satyajit Ray, so that gives me more knowledge than you. We don't want that attitude.
चलिए तो एक दूसरे टॉपिक पे आ जाते हैं. काफी एक अभी रिसेंट एकेडमी अवार्ड्स सब हुए थे एंड आई नो कि भाई थोड़ा सा डैम भाई
Just saying, bro, just saying. Like you said, Academy Awards, na, is for all three of us, and Rishabh can speak for himself, but like at least for, but Rishabh हमारा वो है awards पंडित है, ठीक है. उसको सब पता रहता है पहले से ही, like who's gonna win and who's gonna lose, all of that.
I give them
all three of
gold
us like
derby
Oscar.
news.
Sorry, बोल.
I give them gold derby news as I'm just like हाँ ठीक है. I'm like वैसे messenger now, official.
अभी जैसे फुटबॉल फैंस देखते हैं ना, लाइक बिफोर लाइक द मेन फाइनल ऑफ अ पर्टिकुलर लीग हैपेंस, तो वो पहले से सब देख लेते हैं टेबल कि कौन लीडरशिप में कौन लीड कर रहा है, ये सब वगैरह. तो हम दिनों का वही है ब्रो. हम दिनों का लाइक जैसे वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल देखते हैं लोग, सुबह उठ के हम लोग वही करते हैं, हम लोग ऑस्कर्स देखते हैं. बट दैट बीइंग सेड, हमें पता है ऑस्कर्स में बहुत फ्लॉज है, ठीक है. ऑस्कर्स आर नॉट परफेक्ट, अगेन दे आर वेरी वेस्टर्न, बट all three of us have the same theme के मतलब हमारे लिए वो toxic relationship है. We can't let go of it.
It's fun at the end of the day.
Not
you know?
that.
It's masala fun.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
even though they are very problematic at times, even though they are get
They
on
make me
every one of our
cringe so
nerves.
much sometimes.
Yeah, but it's still fun, and we'll keep coming back to it every year, regardless.
I think एक वो बात भी ना कि like this is one of those things in the film industry that हर एक बात कर रहा है उसके बारे में, कि उसके बारे में बात हो भी जाती है. I mean last year भी I think you guys did put out an episode on this and
Award season, right.
भाई तो what was वैसे what did you guys, अब पूछना बनता है ये एक बार कि भाई लाफे का आपको फिर लाफे का क्या
Oh my God. I was hoping not to comment on that. In fact, I've been like sort of avoiding to comment on that for the longest time because I mean, TK, the first day, I mean, I still remember like we were watching it live, all three of us, and then I remember when that happened, and I immediately just texted, wait, I am not able to process this. ये मैं हंसूं या क्या करूं? Because is this not scripted? Is this real? And then and I could not fathom that for the longest time until the tweets began to happen. And then, of course, for the first day, so it was just all about memes and all about like, okay, we are having a field day at the internet, of course. But that's when, after that, the think pieces became to, as say, become more solid. And then people began to have opinions. Okay, oh, Will Smith like did this and मतलब ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, and this is like impingement of free speech and things about Jada Pinkett Smith and whatnot. And it's still continuing. And I still receive memes from random people saying, oh, look, oh, I don't know, like the nastiest comments. So I think we've now moved away from that sort of. It's like now it's become more about, oh, let's now dig into Will and Jada's histories and now let's just make fun of them. Which I'm like, I mean, we're not talking about the main point now anymore. So yeah, it that is a little off-putting because now it's become nasty, thoda. But I mean, of course, like we were very shocked. We still like we did talk about it briefly, and we were like what the fuck just happened? I mean, like this was not okay. Like this is worse than Filmfare or like Pang Parag Award. Like what is
और
this?
भाई
Like this has
have you guys
gotten
seen
worse
that
than that.
have you guys seen that
So
edit on YouTube जिसमें they are मतलब अगर ये अवार्ड शो इंडिया में हुआ तो उसका क्या है
वो एकता कपूर
we,
effect.
dis- we, discussed, we discussed that also. It's like, imagine like Salman Khan doing that at Filmfare, right? It's like we imagine, yeah, we thought about that, but like
न्यूज
this
में
too
आता
was, I think, this
sorry
too was like, yeah, just another
Yeah,
level.
but I think in the moment, like this year's award race, especially this year's Oscar ceremony, was anyway pretty straightforward and pretty bland.
Very bland, very bland.
So that like caught us off guard and
नींद
out of
नींद से उड़
nowhere.
गया.
Yeah.
It really because,
Anyway,
like,
it was क्या
I-
कुछ 6 बजे
Yeah.
6 साढ़े
We were
6
sleepy.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
really sleepy. But yeah, as usual, we did wake up for this.
Yeah.
And Adh Neend mein we are watching the ceremony. And obviously, we are sort of furious at some decisions and we're cringing as well.
Oh my God.
But then this happened. And then sari neend ud gayi.
I swear,
I don't think I could focus on the rest of the ceremony at all.
same.
Kind of sad because then it takes away from all this year's winners as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, let's not
It
forget,
was-
like, Coda is a very important winner. Like, it won Best Picture this year, and with a cast that is all, like, that's stars actual deaf actors.
Right.
So it's pretty important, but it's just sad that this will be remembered as the Oscars.
No, and even like so right before the slap gate, like right after the slap gate, Summer of Soul won Best Documentary, which was like, and that win was celebrated on the internet, of course. It was hailed as a masterpiece, but then I mean the telecast was just cut in between because like that guy had just begun to speak. I'm
And
like,
the
okay,
irony.
I want to hear him. And I'm like, this is so sad.
That guy was
Right
crying. That
after
guy was saying that this film is dedicated to my dead father, and he was about to cry. The director,
Questlove.
Questlove.
Questlove, right. And that's immediately when there was a technical glitch.
And the irony is what Summer of Soul का full name क्या है?
Summer of Soul, or the revolution that was
Not televised.
Yeah, the revolution that couldn't be televised. Well, oh man, like yeah. So Filmfare, yeah, Oscars are Filmfare now because of that.
Really, I think the best part is like we also हमारा भी थोड़ा ऐसे ego trip होता है वैसे. I'm not gonna lie. It's like we always, more often than not, we do follow the awards race and we like just dump on the entirety of it. Like throughout, we're like, kya bakwas hai? These guys have no taste, absolutely. And then we put out our own top 10 lists. Say the three of us have our own, say, okay, like this should have happened, like this should have been not, like this should not have been stuff and all of that. And so I think we feel pretty glad about it. Okay, I think we're the same ones here, but also we will have fun now at your expense. So it's a very twisted relationship. I have to like call it that. But yeah.
One thing that I want to ask is, how do common tropes and cliches arise? And why do you think cliches continue to be used in cinema? Do filmmakers not realize that protagonists are not starting while the killer is on their tail does not work as well as it used to?
तुम लोग बताओ and then I'll go if you guys want to start.
No, I think
Cliches.
you should start with that.
You just
No, मेरा thing is, bro, I will actually kind of disagree with your point. Like for me, the thing is, I'm fine with cliches as long as there is a certain way of uh, playing around with it. Because like, according to me, like based on the limited cinema knowledge that I have, and everything is inspired by something or the other, right, from the past. So Marvel films, देख लो, ठीक है. Marvel films also reference something or the other. It can be a previous Marvel film, or it can be anything else. You know, like people love recreating scenes from other films. People love, like it's something as simple as that, right? अभी जैसे बॉलीवुड में, ठीक है, like हिंदी पंजाबी म्यूजिक इंडस्ट्री में people remix a lot of songs, right? ये नेहा कक्कड़, टोनी तनिष्क बागची, ठीक है. Now we criticize them because they make shit remixes, ठीक है. अब जैसे अब A.R. रहमान का मसकली है, ठीक है, which is a fucking amazing song. उसको तनिष्क बागची ने like murder कर दिया. So that's why we're pissed. But if it was a good rendition, like let's say Coke Studio wale, they cover songs. Their songs might not be original. So, but they are taking something which is already established and they're adding their own spin to it. So I guess it all depends on how you are putting your own spin to it. Something like as simple as, like you can, abhi jaise there is this movie which came out recently, Mard ko dard nahi hota hai. ठीक है, it came out like 2 years back, Hindi film. It's like a superhero film, okay? So it plays around with, it pokes fun at, you know, stuff like why hero saves the day, hero will save heroine and all. And at the same time, if you watch the movie, you will see there's a lot of inspiration from, you know, such comedic superhero films like Deadpool and all. Like मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता का hero talks directly to the camera, थोड़ा पिट रहा है ये हो रहा है. So अब I can't just ignore it like, oh, this is like, you know, I've seen stuff like this. I've seen Deadpool, why should I've seen Kick-Ass, I've seen Deadpool, why should I watch this? But I guess अगर वो fresh है तो like it works, man. Like cliches also, like I guess इस टाइम maybe what you're saying cliches इसलिए भी इतना बढ़ गया क्योंकि films और बनते जा रहे हैं because of distribution platform, बस दबा के बनाते जा रहे हैं. Like something like Ryan Reynolds को देख लो, like apart from Deadpool, उसकी जितनी new films आई, it feels like he's playing the same character, but like that's how the cliche is. So Dwayne Johnson
looks the same.
Dwayne Johnson same color के कपड़े पहनता है हर फिल्म में, ऐसा लगता है like then that adventurer types and all. But again, like it depends on the film. If the film is good enough, and like it depends on how you have reinvented those cliches.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when it comes to influences, it's all about how those influences are being used. Even, especially, I mean, this is quite apparent to see, especially in terms of when it comes to music. म्यूजिक में इस चीज को बहुत गंदी तरीके से यूज करा जाता है कि दे टेक लाइक आई कांट, जैसे अगर मैं कहूँ कि एक रीमेक विच इज ट्रूली काफी अच्छी तरीके से करा गया है, तो दैट वाज, अगर सुखबीर का वो गाने की बात करें तो लाइक पीपल अभी से
या ब्रो यू वर सेइंग सुखबीर का वो
या तो भाई मैं कह रहा था जैसे आपने कहा, जस्ट एडिंग ऑन टू दैट influences वाली थिंग कि इट्स रियली अबाउट हाउ यू यूज द इन्फ्लुएंसेस. अगर आप यू कैन कीप दैट फ्रेश, और यूजुअली आई गेस ये तरीके से होता है, ईदर यू टेक इट एंड यू makes it in a way that it is tasteful, keeping the influences of the old time and still putting a kind of modern mix which is tasteful in a way. और या तो आप उसी चीज को एक बहुत जो क्या आवाज वही आवाज
या ब्रो वही, मतलब it's hit or trial also at times. क्या मतलब कुछ चलेगा कुछ नहीं चलेगा. अब वही, like I mean just look at superhero movies for example. Superhero movies की, I mean he knows way more about scores than me, but ना मैं कैसे कर सकता हूँ. There are some superhero film scores that stand out. बाकी there's this typical sound for every superhero film. You know, वो hero जब आता है ना ऐसे it comes out of the ashes or something, like उसे वो build up वाला
It
music
would
वो
be a brass section,
हाँ
ठीक है, horns वगैरह. That is what you identify with like quintessential superhero music, right?
yeah
And but I think at the same time it's important to reinvent or sort of do away with some tropes and cliches that haven't really aged well.
Aged well.
The damsel in distress trope. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
so from its very conception, it is obviously very sexist, and it has been used in that way over and over again throughout different genres. For example, slasher flicks.
the girls will be assaulted.
To instill a sense of fear, it is basically femininity is always equated with being
Sensitivity.
sensitive or weak or fragile.
Vulnerable, right.
Vulnerable. So I think it's important to overturn some of these tropes at the very least, some in that sense. But at the same time, it's cool how modern filmmakers, are striking that balance and reinventing them as well. Like as Thapa said. So yeah.
So like an example, like what he said, like from horror movies like Halloween and Psycho, we have all seen, you know, women like semi naked women being killed by a psychopath and all. But abhi they're kind of trying to change that. So like the latest Scream film, Scream 5, and even like the new Halloween films and all. So usme they're showing women as fighting back, like, you know, जो भी killer है, ghost है, कुछ भी है, the women are like, you know, taking a shotgun and killing them and all. So then even like sci-fi maybe it was always like, you know, hero saves the day and all, like
Yeah.
but then you have examples like mainstream examples like Alien and Terminator, जहाँ पर it's the woman fighting back, and like there is no discrimination, bro. Like anyone can pick up a weapon and kill the other person.
So for those who argue that that formula doesn't work, a woman in an empowering position will not work, especially for that audience, I mean that generation. I think that's very flawed. That's a very flawed notion, because you have characters like Ripley from Alien and Sarah Connor from Terminator, who are doing what their male counterparts would be doing, and they're doing it without being sexualized by the filmmakers.
Yes.
So I think that's very important.
So like in my opinion, just like, you know, James Bond fans will argue that recent Daniel Craig ki James Bond films with the women characters are more empowered. But again, you can't deny the fact that there is a lot of sexualization.
It's still
the
very
camera
steeped in those. It's still very steeped in those tropes and cliches. Like it's not beyond that.
Yeah, talking about, like he said, like cliches that haven't aged well. Like he said, damsel in distress. Interestingly, our first episode of Bhindi Wire was on Christopher Nolan's films only.
Yes.
Where we analyzed how उसकी almost हर film में his woman characters are just either to motivate the hero to do something or just to die. Inception, Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, Tenet.
I think it got just like way too much. I think we were just deconstructing that. But yeah, like that's very true. Yeah.
So it's just sad that, you know, Christopher Nolan is regarded as such a genius filmmaker, and which he is. Like, उसको बहुत knowledge है. Of course, he's creating a lot of new ideas. But it's just sad कि something as simple as keeping his heroines, like making his heroines survive, वो नहीं होता उससे.
And it's very convenient for him. I think he's defended this by saying that I can't write for women because I'm not a woman. I can't write a lead character. Which is yes. I mean, it does sound very stupid, firstly, but a counter argument could be made that he is not Batman, nor is he like
time traveler, astronaut,
or
he's not a nuclear scientist,
exactly,
physicist.
Okay. So how the fuck is he writing for all of that shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see, we're not saying that, we're not telling Nolan to write from the perspective of women and write about women issues and all. It's just in your story, because you're not writing about men's issues, right? You're just writing about a plot. कि
Right.
इसको time travel करना है, इसको ये beat हो रही है. So just like that, like just treat your woman characters as more than मेरे को बचाओ.
I think this is partly what I think. So the latest example of like where we were like fundamentally disappointed, all three of us, was Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza,
Licorice Pizza.
where we did not expect him to like go in that route, right? Where he was like, no, he's always so subversive. He never does that. He will always like just exceed and like your expectations that way. But I think, but yeah, it was kind of sad to see him just, disregard his protagonist that way. And ultimately, just okay, it was love after all, right? And I think I remember having this conversation with Shaurya, and he was like, "यार, सब इम्तियाज अली वाले रूट पे क्यों जा रहे हैं? Why is this happening? What is this? This is an epidemic of its own. Why is this happening?"
Imtiaz Ali is the biggest example. Like, bro, Imtiaz Ali के films में the man will always cry. Man bullshit करेगा, उसके बाद he'll cry and all. The woman will have to be his therapist. कितनी and ठीक है तुमने एक मूवी में डाल दिया and you're glorifying it. And people on Instagram call him like, Imtiaz Ali, master of romance and all. Again,
She can save me.
या शी कैन सेव मी वाला वो उसका हर फिल्म में शी कैन सेव मी, वो चाहे तमाशा हो, रॉक स्टार हो, कुछ भी हो. सो अगेन लाइक पीपल्स ओपिनियन ब्रो, जिसको इम्तियाज अली अच्छा लगता है उनकी मर्जी, बट लाइक इट्स जस्ट सैड. एंड दैट्स व्हाई हम लोग का पॉइंट ये कि वी आर नॉट सेइंग कि तुम्हारा टेस्ट खराब है, वी आर जस्ट सेइंग कि हमें ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, इसीलिए ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. वी आर गिविंग आवर रीजंस.
And I think, especially for a film like Licorice Pizza, I think the three of us went completely against the grain, because being that critically acclaimed, and then not the like the most prominent critics did not address the things that we did, which is precisely the point of something like Bhindi Wire in the first place, because we
Bro, like
want to
Licorice
like
Pizza में central romances, there's a 20-something-year-old girl and there's an underage
25
a 25-year-old
15-year-old guy,
15-year-old guy, and they fall in love, and like the director kind of glorifies it. वो like कितना cute है ये वो है, and none of the critics are pointing it out. मतलब ये ना we depend on the West for our critical जो भी inputs. Rotten Tomatoes, ठीक है, Rotten Tomatoes के 90-something% ने बोला Licorice Pizza क्या movie है, wow. But
absolutely.
मतलब my point is that out here we'll be criticizing Kabir Singh and all of that, rightfully so. So why not criticize something like this also? Like, bro, तुम Oscar winning director होगे, but that doesn't change the fact that
Not Oscar winning though.
sorry, not Oscar winning, Oscar nominated. Sorry. So yeah, so even when we point out stuff like Nolan के हमने films में ये issue है, तो it's very easy for someone else to say, तुम्हें नोलन की फिल्म समझ में नहीं आती, तुम नोलन को hate करते हो. We don't hate Nolan, but we can.
That's the most reductive argument.
Yeah, while watching movies, we can point out arguments, right? So that's the whole concept of Bhindi Wire also. Like as you talked about cliches, हमने फिर भी self promotion कर दिया.
So the last question that I have from you guys is, so you guys hold serious grudges against elitist cinephiles and made some great content on it. Not to point out where it could be considered cliche, but why do you think this kind of mindset exists for some viewers, and how do you deal with such people in that?
Wait, what? My mindset exists for?
For some viewers.
Oh,
And how do you deal with it?
go ahead.
Rishabh, please.
Let's
No,
talk
I mean,
about
no, wait,
elitist
I didn't
cinephiles.
get the question. So it's like you're asking about how do we deal with
Elitist
the
cinephiles.
mindset
And
of
how
with
did this
elitist
attitude
cinephiles.
come up? I guess that's
Yeah.
what he's asking. Amongst such people, like in your opinion.
Honestly, no, I will not take names. Ayan knows who exactly will I be like speaking about, I say. No, but like we've seen that in Delhi University, we've seen that in our own college, we've seen that in our own circles, I say. It's like it gets like, of course, someone will know a lot of things, and it's like we're obviously we like, and that's the best part about like all three of us and our synergy is that we constantly are learning, we constantly are unlearning, and we're constantly evolving our opinions on things. So it's not static. It never stays static that way. And we do give each other the room to like not know things, right? Because that's the most fundamentally basic thing you can do, right? But I think the biggest problem when it comes to okay, so for anything, right? Like it's not just for cinema, it's for literature, it's for music, it's for arts. It's like the moment you say I have an interest in this, you will automatically be deemed you'll be bombarded with a certain idea that okay, you need to know like 10 prerequisite things in order to qualify as that. And I had a terribly hard time in like dealing with that because I wouldn't have read or watched a lot of stuff, which I still haven't, by the way. because I'm like, okay, I will get to it when I have to, right? But it's like, and that's something that used to happen quite often, especially when, back in college, for instance. And people like Thapa and I, and then also when Ayan also joined later, it's like, yeah, we never understood that phenomenon. We were like, but we really do not have to, right? We were quite honest about, acha, ye nahi dekha hai maine, acha, I haven't like explored this, okay. Like, and we would like publicly lie about stuff like, oh, of course, I don't remember, but हाँ मैंने कहीं तो देखा है type. I can't remember the amount of times I've done that. But it's like, yeah, it is that sort of, um, that predefined identity that you must fit into, right? And I think when first, I think it started as Popcorn Munchers back in 2018. Then it was completely revamped into Bhindi Wire now.
Oh,
And the idea behind it has been precisely that. It has been precisely, it's always a work in progress. And it's always like, yeah, and it's always, it's supposed to be, you know, much more democratic, much be like relatively chill and be like, you know what, like it's okay. Like it's fine. We'll not have the best opinions either. And it's okay, we don't know everything. And which is why we also like off late, the three of us at least, we've been so averse to the term cinephile itself.
Yeah.
We're just like, we do not want to associate
feels
with
like
that.
a very
Please do not call us cinephiles. We do not want to be
We
associated
do
with that
not,
term whatsoever.
absolutely, because the moment, like, I don't know, like we begun to cringe at it so much because it's like we do see that phenomenon outside, right? And this is exactly what we try to resist against in a way. And this is like what we try to like go against.
Bro, something like as simple as like when I was in college, like when I was in Hindu, like all three of us were in the same college now. So there was this point where a classmate of mine randomly said that we were reading about Nolan's upcoming film, which was Tenet back then, and he said कि इंडिया में कोई नोलन जैसी फिल्म क्यों नहीं बनाई. And that's the point, bro. And I was like, क्यों जरूरत क्यों है इंडिया? India has its own filmmakers, right? Yes, of course, I would love to watch some good sci-fi and all in India, but bro, we are still developing. Okay, we are still developing, so like we should not compare directly with the West,
Absolutely.
which already got like so much budget and all beforehand, or something like even like as he said, like as Rishabh said about cinephiles. Thing is, at least the pattern that we have noticed is that most of these cinephiles draw their legitimacy from, as I told you, certain directors. And something like, I'll give you a very simple example, okay? Abhi recently I and this friend, we were watching something and usme Minari was mentioned. Minari, which won some Oscars last year. A great film, Minari, like I personally love it. It's this Korean film,
Yeah.
loved it. Now she said that, oh, like Minari won an Oscar. Fuck, so I didn't like it. It didn't. I think I didn't understand it or something. I said, no, it's fine. A movie can win an Oscar and you can hate on it. That's fine. People hate on Slumdog Millionaire, Shakespeare in Love, whatnot. Okay? You can hate on anything, bro. That's your choice.
Ayan
Oscars.
imploding.
Just because Oscar mila, that doesn't mean that you have to praise the film. And this example, I cite like Rishabh and Ayan might have heard this example 100 times. Bro, there's this movie, Manchester by the Sea. Okay? If you ask me, don't watch it. Okay? It's like I personally don't like it. It's a very shit film. Okay? It won the Oscar. It won the Oscar for best original screenplay
Actor and original
and
screenplay,
best actor. Okay. Now again, I absolutely hate that film. Okay? But that's my opinion. So मैंने
I remember we bonded on that fact also. We were
yeah,
like,
yeah, we have
didn't
all
get it.
bonded on that fact. All three of us hate that. Like that would be one common similarity between us. So I uploaded a story on Instagram once, just trash talking on Manchester by the Sea. ऐसी rant करने का मन किया. So I was like, yeah, man, this movie sucks, blah blah blah. Dude, this person from our college, like, she replied to the story saying, but it won an Oscar. And I was like, so?
So did
That doesn't change the fact that I don't like the movie. ठीक है, bro? मेरी मर्जी. So, yeah, bro, that's the thing. Like, people just think that just because वो Oscar मिला, you bro, अब Messi को इतने awards मिले. But let's say my favorite football player is not Messi. That's my choice, bro. So that's the thing. Like that one thing we want to tell cinephiles, like so-called elite cinephiles, that live and let live. You want to watch movies, watch movies. Let us also watch movies. Khatam.
I think fundamentally the problem with cinephiles is that they fail to respect opinions. Okay, that's probably the fundamental like problem with
That
it,
is true.
because once they've made their mind up about something, they can't be budged, and then they will draw legitimacy from the fact that, okay, you know what, my movie knowledge is more comprehensive than yours, so that makes me right, and your opinion is completely invalid, so shut the fuck up. I don't want to listen to you. And that kind of culture is something that has been propagated very unconsciously as well throughout the cinephile community. I mean, look at Instagram. Every single cinema page is in some sense or the other like doing this. And be it conscious or unconsciously, but it is happening. And
Also, they're posting the same stuff. I mean, we also talked about it. Like Blade Runner 2049 का shot नहीं डाला, तो then मतलब our page is invalid.
Interstellar.
I get
Interstellar.
it. Right.
Interstellar is a genius film. वो डालना है वो post हर time.
And then एक love का sex scene नहीं डाला, तो then of course cinema page, तो मतलब that one page, तो I mean, I'm sorry, like, you know, like that's the thing, right? Like, it's like
Marvel
we
30
keep-
है. Marvel is not
Yeah,
cinema.
Marvel
Marvel पे
is not
shit करना.
cinema.
Marvel
Yeah.
पे shit करना है.
Yes.
तो cool बन गया.
Yes.
Scorsese
It's just that we will
simps.
keep posting that. We will keep posting the same stuff repeatedly in not even in different formats, I would say. Like it's the same format. So it becomes so homogeneous that way. And I think our page being on Instagram that way, I mean, this was the idea, right? That we need to do something to stand out in some degree. Not by like a huge margin, like of course we can't, but at least, you know, we need to do something different. We need to like sort of go against the grain in some regard. Of course, not for the sake of it, but we do have legitimate reasons to do that, right? And as mentioned by
and it isn't forced, it's pretty natural, because this
It
is the
is,
way
it
the
is.
three of us think.
Yeah.
right.
So when you guys post your opinions, जैसे like काफी real opinions होते हैं जो आप लोग जो post करते हैं, and that is the reason why I think कि it is like थोड़ा genuine लगता है. तो उसका do you guys face any kind of उस पे अलग type का response than अगर जैसे, because this is the kind of, I think इसका फायदा ये होता है कि the kind of validation which you guys receive on your post is a lot more real and a lot more genuine, I would say. Once again, coming back to वही दो तीन शब्द हैं. But was there something that you guys did not expect would happen when you guys would post real opinions, actually what you think online? Was there something that happened कि यार ये कैसे हो गया?
Bro, I don't think anything unexpected happened. Thankfully, so far the response has been good. Only people are like actually relating with us and they like how we talk and all. And again, this is something that we wouldn't be able to do if we were in a professional setting or something. This is like our platform, something like that. Unexpected, bro.
Actually, on the contrary, I think it has gone to what we expected, because our conversation have inevitably called out some sort of, I don't know, the cinephile community as a whole. So some of those responses have been very interesting, to say the least. Like, okay, our Nolan episode, I think it did get a lot of positive responses because a lot of people understood, like related to that as well. But at the same time, Nolan bucks. Yeah. Well,
I unexpected stuff. You were that, bro. For me, unexpected stuff is that when I checked out the insights of our podcast, apparently 3% of our listener base is from Germany, 3% from Chile. Chile, bro. Like
Chile,
random
right.
countries. I have
shout out to Chile fans.
So yeah, man. Like I'm glad like someone or the other is like relating with it, and yeah, like as you said, like of course, like there will be hardliners.
Yeah.
There will be people who are like, no, you don't know, haven't watched enough movies to give opinions and all.
And you know what? That's fine, because it is a conversation regardless, right?
Yeah.
They have their opinions. Cool. We respect them.
Yeah.
And it is interactive, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
And I think we are still in our very like
Nascent stage.
Nascent
Let's just
Nascent
start.
stage, right.
Let's just start. We have a lot of ideas, and we'll do that like as and when time comes. And yeah, bro, like that's about it.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. That was such an insightful conversation. And genuinely, like, thank you so much for your time. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.